good stride this time. Got my lock seeds, Super Smash Brothers review's gonna come out today. Yeah, today's good. Today's really good. Alright, let's open the package and then let's start the review. What the? That doesn't look like a... Oh, no. No. No, 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 no. Zero, this is why you never trust Japanese middlemen on eBay. Now this bomb is gonna go and blow me... Wait. You haven't blown me up yet. You're lucky I can read your subtitles, but a homeless Bob-omb. I don't want to turn this place into an orphanage. I really, really don't. But you asked nicely and you didn't blow me up, so I think we can work out a deal. Hey, you like reviews? Alright, then I'll get you a front row seat to my next review. You're cute. You realize this, right? Good. Let's get going. Alright then. Nice little place for you, Bob-omb. And time for me to sit down, and let's play that intro. Hey everybody, Zero here, and this time I'll be tackling Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but not the entire game. I'll be tackling the story mode, the Subspace Emissary. Subspace Emissary was a way to add a more solid single-player experience into the game aside from classic mode. Now, even though a lot of people refuse to say that Brawl is a fighting game, for the sake of comparison, I'm going to call it a fighting game right now for, an example. You see, fighting games usually don't have the best stories or story-based single-player modes. Hell, sometimes they don't even do that. Usually you just play with a character through several matches and then unlock an ending with them. Brawl is one of the few fighting games to do a story mode, the other two being Mortal Kombat 9 and Injustice off the top of my head. However, the way they approach it is different, but we'll save that for gameplay. For now, let's get on to the story. In this world, trophies fight. They know nothing but fighting. Fighting is the sole reason for their existence. Being turned back into a trophy, being unable to fight, is much like death. Those are the rules of this world. But when someone or something breaks those rules, the world will pay a terrible price. Man, deep words for a story that pretty much involves everyone running around, making allies, enemies, and gathering together in the end to beat the big bad guy. It all starts with Taboo, a being from subspace. He envies the world of trophies and wishes to break it apart and drag it into subspace. While he can't leave subspace, he can still watch the other world and manipulate others in it to do his bidding. Taboo first captures Master Hand, planning on using the big gold glove as a face in order to enact his plans. Next, he finds Mr. Game & Watch, who has unusual properties due to being a 2D being in a 3D world. Because of this, he can produce beings known as shadow bugs. Unaware of this ability, he is captured and used to make the Subspace Army, which are the grunts for this game. Taboo then uses his new army to take control of the Isle of the Ancients, which looks similar to another floating island, don't you think? Wink wink, nudge nudge, reference reference, Angel Island. The island is inhabited by Robs, who hold advanced technology despite being based on something from the 80s. Under his control, Taboo uses them to create the subspace bombs and to support his army. With his army essentially complete, Taboo stages an attack on the halberd, wanting it as a transport for his troops. Meta Knight fights off the enemy as best he can before DDD distracts him by also attacking at the same time. Meta Knight loses and flees while DDD learns of Taboo's strongest technique, the off waves, which can transform anyone from the world of trophies, well, into a trophy. Except he could do this to all of the Smashers at the same time, making it so that no one could try to revive each other from being a trophy, and keeping them like that forever. DDD begins to make plans for a special item that will act as a timer to unfreeze the user when the item is on, allowing for some hope. Taboo begins the final phase and has Master Hand reach out to 3 characters, Ganondorf, Bowser, and Wario. They're given dark cannons in order to turn the characters into trophies and slowly collect them, while also having them help in the detonation of subspace bombs. Finally, Taboo begins the construction of the subspace gunship inside of subspace, in order to create a flagship that would be able to produce subspace bomb explosions on a much larger scale and cut the workload in half. With all of that set up, it's time for the main plot, and I am going to be summarizing this greatly since the other details were ones you needed to know for the setup. And the story goes as follows. After an intense match for Mario and Kirby in what seems like a tournament, the halberd strikes and the stadium is soon engulfed in subspace. Soon the heroes must gather together and stop this new threat before it gets worse. While I won't go into pure details of what happens before everyone meets up for the final showdown, I do want to note several things. The leader Rob goes under the guise of the Ancient Minister in order to hide his shame in taking part in this. While Wario and Bowser start collecting the trophies of fallen fighters, DDD tries to intercept them in order to make his own collection and implement his plan, the DDD Brooch. However, this fails once he himself is taken out of the game and is turned into a trophy and buried under his castle's rubble. Pikachu was being used as one of the power sources of the Subspace Bomb Factory. Samus's suit was taken from her somehow, and the Robs attempted to replicate it, probably to increase the army's power and numbers. The halberd is eventually taken back and Mr. Game & Watch is freed. Ganondorf seems to have an agenda of his own within this entire subspace conquest. After the Subspace Bomb Factory is compromised, Ganondorf takes control of all of the Robs except the leader in order to activate all the subspace bombs at once. The leader joins up with the good guys who are already there, and they escape before the entire island is destroyed by a massive subspace bomb explosion. Now all the heroes are together again, and they decide to take the halberd to try and go into subspace. However, the subspace gunship is finished and blows the halberd to pieces, while also creating another large subspace explosion. After the halberd's destructions, a slew of ships fly out and dodge the weaponry of the subspace gunship, while Kirby on the Dragoon takes out the entire subspace gunship in one shot? I will talk about this later. Eventually, the group makes it into subspace to confront Master Hand, but before they get to him, we've got a bit of a betrayal. Ganondorf turns Bowser into a trophy and attempts to betray Master Hand before realizing that Master Hand is merely a puppet. Taboo quickly deals with both Ganondorf and Master Hand, showing off the level of power he has at his disposal. The rest of the characters arrive, only for Taboo to turn them all into trophies. Taboo then creates the Great Maze should they somehow come back to life, and it's really more of an insult than anything else. Eventually, through the power that is Dedede, Ness, Luigi, and Kirby, everyone else is freed and they go into the Great Maze. They go through the gauntlet and eventually get to Taboo. Taboo plans on using his off waves again, but the wings are shattered. By who? Sonic! Sonic shows up at the last minute to help everyone out and the Smashers defeat Taboo, returning all areas taken by subspace to normal. However, the damage done to the Isle of the Ancients was too great, so nothing really returned in its place, aside from an X-shaped sunset. The Smashers escape back to their world and celebrate their victory by watching the sunset on a cliff. A pretty simple plot, all things considered. Also, remember the prologue beforehand with all the background details that I mentioned? No clips or explanation in the main story whatsoever. Apparently the DDD and Meta Knight fight and taking of the halberd were supposed to be clips, but they never happened. All of this other stuff is just knowledge gathered from various sources, in-game trophies, and the Smash Dojo. This is a real shame because the prologue portion is one of the most interesting things of the story. Also considering the fact that since these parts are untold, Taboo comes out of nowhere after you reach Subspace. But what's even sadder than these clips never being made, the excuse Sakurai made when describing on why he cut story mode with cutscenes for Super Smash Bros. 4. He pretty much said the internet ruined the surprise of the cutscenes. I want to punch him so hard in the face right now. I get it though, leaks are bad and we should probably not do them as often so that we don't ruin others' hard work, but omitting something entirely because of a leak, that's a bit harsh, don't you think? Besides, with the roster this time in Smash 4, we could have had something epic, but we don't, and that makes me sad.
Damn it, Sakurai! I thought we had something. I thought you were gonna make a better story mode and cutscenes. And now you're talking at me. Oh, Bob-omb, buddy, you're the only one who understands me.
Sakurai, you prick! Your substitute technique can't serve you this time, because you got a handcrafted one from eBay, so it's not the real deal. I know it because I sold it to you!
Oh God. I'm sorry, folks. I didn't mean to go full Plinkett there. Moving on.
Presentation-wise, for a Wii game, the models are polished and the characters move as fluidly as they can. Not only that, but the cutscenes are very well handled and a treat to watch from time to time. As an art design choice, while looking nice, the photorealistic style that the characters have, especially when you can see the threads on Mario's overalls, is a bit weird and off-putting. Also, with the environments being that way, it doesn't really feel like an adventure through the world of Nintendo. While I'm not a fan of the art style, the cutscenes are still amazing to look at. They managed to get some good action in on this story, and they succeeded tremendously. If there's one thing I can commend them on, it's by telling a story where no one talks at all, and they just speak through their emotions. Yes, Snake says one line, but it's about it in terms of dialogue. Seriously though, I commend them for telling a story through motions and gestures, as it must have been hard work. In terms of music, we get tons of remix tracks from various series, while also getting plenty of remixes of Brawl's theme. While some music tracks repeat a lot, it doesn't get completely grating to listen to. The only time it will is when you're sick of hearing another remix of the Brawl theme. Other than that, it's really all up to your taste in music. I find a lot of them to be pretty decent, as well as the remixes for certain series like Kid Icarus and so forth. But with every good, there must be bad. While I expressed my love with the presentation and the music for the most part, there's still a lot of disappointments I had with the overall story mode. Now to start off with the disappointments. First off, there was no dialogue or real voice acting conversations. I understand these are Nintendo characters and voice acting varies from series to series, but you could have had a narrator or something explain what was going on. While it is good that we had some idea what was happening through no dialogue, and I will commend them for making a story with no dialogue, I'd prefer it if we did have dialogue, since it would make scenes have so much more impact. The next thing is to discuss the lack of classic enemies. I'm talking about Pokemon, Kremlings, Darknuts, and so forth. The Subspace Army seems like a cop-out, and yes, these enemies are fine, but it makes them less memorable since they aren't from Nintendo history. This is something Smash Run got right. Not only that, but the environments were very generic. A forest, a desert, a factory, and so on. There was no real variety to them, plus the only location that was Nintendo related was the halberd. Another failing is the Great Maze, which is pretty much to extend game time by several hours, even if you do have a route mapped out. Backtracking and going through all the rooms will take you at least 1 to 2 hours. The Great Maze could have been cut entirely and we could have gone straight to the final showdown with Taboo. Then there are Sakurai's pets, Kirby, Dedede, and Meta Knight. While Meta Knight doesn't play too huge of a role himself, his ship does. King Dedede invents the device in order to save everyone and has to save half of the other characters in one of the missions, although it is with the help of Ness and Luigi, but still. Then Kirby, who pretty much helps and saves anyone whenever he can. He stops Dedede from running off with Yoshi and Link. He ends up saving the other half of the characters on his own when they're all turned into trophies, and he fucking destroys that subspace gunship. I don't care if the Dragoon is super powerful. Why would you do that? You make the ship seem very powerful by having it create a large subspace explosion, destroy Meta Knight's ship with ease, and show it has artillery everywhere. Oh, but one small super powerful strike from the Dragoon is enough to take the entire thing down? Bullshit! Now, while there's no big problem in terms of what these characters are doing what they do, it is clearly Sakurai bias that we're looking at here. Though the Sakurai bias at this point is actually nitpicking. I mean seriously, just look at Smash 4 and tell me there isn't a hint of Sakurai bias at all. Trust me, there is. While normally these things would balance out with the pros, which one really does, the lack of dialogue one, the rest don't, and it really drags down the experience of the game for me. Especially with my mixed opinions on the gameplay for Subspace Emissary. The Subspace Emissary mode is a side-scrolling adventure in the style of a platformer, inspired by the Mario and Kirby games, which means it doesn't stick to its fighting game style for the story mode like Injustice or Mortal Kombat did. However, it retains all of the basic mechanics of the Super Smash Bros. Series, such as damage meter, stocks, and Smash-style attacks. It can also be classified as a beat-em-up. Often stages will pause at specific points and force the player to defeat all the opposing enemies, which prevents the player from simply running through everything. The mode features a world map where stages are selected. Once a stage is selected, the difficulty can be chosen and the characters will enter the stage. The selectable characters will change depending on the plot, but you will probably play as most of the characters in the game whether you want to or not. The physics of all the characters were also tweaked slightly. In general, characters run slower, fall faster, but jump better than in normal matches. However, let me be clear on this. Not all the characters can platform well due to their jumps and so forth. These characters were never meant to platform, so don't get discouraged if you mess up a section in a platforming portion because of this. You can also collect stickers in order to increase certain aspects of your characters, such as launch resistance, arm strength, flinch resistance, and so on. It's a neat little feature that really allows you to play how you want with these characters, and it is also kind of a precursor to the customization feature that is featured in Smash 4. You can also collect stickers and trophies in this mode. Stickers by defeating enemies, and trophies by either breaking open item boxes or turning enemies into trophies with a trophy stand. Other than that, the main reason this mode is here is for an easier time to unlock all of the characters. Instead of playing hundreds of matches doing something specific to unlock characters, every time you complete a level with a locked character from the roster, you unlock them. It makes it a nice way to unlock the entire roster without having to go through a lot of trouble. I know it helped me out when I wanted to unlock all the characters quickly without playing a bunch of matches on Brawl. Last but not least are the 3 secret characters who don't appear in the story, which are Jigglypuff, Wolf, and Toon Link. These 3 can still be unlocked in the Subspace Emissary mode, but you must backtrack through the stages and go through new doors that are in the stages in order to activate a match with them. Beating them in the match then unlocks them for the roster. The gameplay is very hit or miss with me, mainly because, like I said earlier, not all the characters were meant to platform, and a lot were slowed down tremendously. I can understand for the main story, but for the Great Maze... Yeah, no, the characters should have had their top speed for that. It would have made going through less of a chore to do. Some of the enemies can be annoying as well sometimes. With certain ones you're playing a waiting game when you don't kill them fast enough, or a bunch of them spamming you with attacks or trying to gang up on you. Since it does borrow from Brawl mechanics, it does work out decently, as I have the most fun playing as several characters despite their tweaks. If there's one thing I can say about the Subspace Emissary's gameplay, it's that you only slog through it in order to nab all the characters without playing several hundred matches by yourself. Overall, the Subspace Emissary is good for two reasons: epic cutscenes for you to watch on your spare time, and getting all the characters easily as compared to other Smash Bros. Games. All of the negatives really bog it down though, and in a bad way, and those two reasons are the only way I can recommend playing through the story mode once. While Brawl itself is far from a bad game, the Subspace Emissary is a less than stellar addition. Hopefully Sakurai learns from his mistakes, and maybe in Super Smash Bros. 5 we'll finally get a return to an epic story with more character to it.
Anyway, I'm Zero, this was Zero Reviews,
You've
and I'll
much
be
yet
seeing
to
you
learn.
guys- Oh god, it's Plush Meta Knight. What the hell are you doing here?
Fight me.
No.
Fight me.
No.
Come.
I just said no. Yeah, Plush Meta Knight is stubborn for some reason.
Know my power.
Oh, so you want to get your ass kicked. Alright then. Let's do this. Sorry folks, I'm gonna have to deal with some stupid plush doll right now, so... I'm Zero, this was Zero Reviews, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Alright, you plush little thing. Have at ye! Roar!
Victory is my destiny.
Zombie, the time has come to join forces for this next review. It's big, Ridley big, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it on my own.